This story kind of goes hand in hand with the last segment that we just did, where president of the Republican Senate in Utah was able to successfully pass a rewriting of a law that considered 18-year-olds who, quote-unquote, have sex with 13-year-olds, I prefer the term statutorily rape, no longer get a felony charge, no longer have to be put on the sex offender registry, basically meaning it's like a slap on the wrist. They are warping the laws in real time in order to protect predators. But make no mistake, as they do that, they are still throwing out the allegation that it is the left and the minority groups the left advocates for that are the real predators. Make no mistake, it's the trans people we need to be worried about. So much so to the point that apparently we have to make teens feel uncomfortable and basically do weird, creepy gender checks in order to make sure no trans people secretly make any cis people uncomfortable. You know, that would be bad, right? Gotta make sure that doesn't happen. So we have to do forced gender checks, I guess. Because this story, and particularly the headline, really caught my eye. Minnesota teen says server forced her to prove her gender in restaurant bathroom. Yeah, the transphobia's gone too far. These people are getting way too confident. The 18-year-old high school student said that she was forced to unzip her hoodie to show that she had breasts after a Buffalo Wild Wings server didn't believe she was a woman. I'm sure plenty of conservatives' go-to response is going to be, she was literally 18. I'm sure that's going to be their go-to response. But if you're normal, then that changes nothing. Like, very fucking weird, very creepy, very disgusting behavior. A Minnesota teenager filed a charge of discrimination against a Buffalo Wild Wings restaurant Tuesday, alleging a server followed her into the woman's restroom and demanded she prove she was a girl. That is so fucking creepy. It is always the predators. These people are the real predators, the transphobes, the bigots, the homophobes, the racists. These people are the real predators every time. Garika Mudra, 18, went to dinner in April with a friend in Owatonna, about an hour south of Minneapolis. When she went to the restroom, a server followed her inside and banged on the stall door while saying, "This is a woman's restroom. The man needs to get out of here," according to Gender Justice, a Minnesota gender equality organization that fielded the charge on Mudra's behalf. Mudra, a biracial lesbian who isn't transgender, said that she has been in similar situations before, when people have suggested she's in the wrong restroom, but that when she tells them she's a woman, they leave her alone. However, when she came out of the stall at Buffalo Wild Wings and told the server, "I'm a lady," she said the server responded with, "You have to get out now." Gender Justice said in a statement. Now, here's a photo of Garika, who is, mind you, a cis woman. But we have to have a conversation here that's real vital to discuss, okay? Transphobia, a lot of what fuels it is bullying. A desire to do bullying and to target a group of people that they view as weird, different, maybe even disgusting, and to turn what they find as cringy into something that deserves hate. You know, you ever see those memes where it's like, finally that person that I always thought was cringe has like a legitimate reason for me to hate them now? It's kind of like that. That psychological effect is common. And so many transphobes are led there by a weird, warped understanding of just cruelty. They have a mindset of cruelty. That when they think of a trans woman, they think of one of those like really transphobic Wojak depictions. Like if you want to know what I'm talking about, imagine what the inside of the mind of someone who draws shit like this. Massive trigger warning here. This is a post from a trans person posting a DM that they got with an image that is quite graphic and disgusting. The messages themselves are disgusting, but this is an example of, like, the harassment that trans people have to regularly face. But, like, imagine the people who message trans people this way. Not only that, but imagine the people who, like, draw shit like this and put in the work to do that shit. Like, how much of an obsessive loser you have to be. How much you're, like, maybe being weirded or grossed out by trans people, maybe thinking trans people are cringe, has fermented into pure fucking hatred. Like, that is a level of degeneracy that many of you might have a hard time imagining. But the average transphobe, the average person who, like, shares posts like that, who shares those, like, transphobic Wojak images and makes jokes about trans people committing suicide and stuff like that, the people who draw those images, those people are so motivated by hate that at a certain point, they are convinced of every bit of the propaganda, even if they didn't start believing it in the first place. And so they get to the point where they see even a little bit androgynous looking man, or even a little bit androgynous looking woman, or maybe a woman or a man who looks a bit feminine or a bit masculine respectively, and they immediately assume must be a trans person, must be a threat. They immediately get the courage, now that Trump's in office and they feel like woke is dead, to then confront them and berate them. And in many cases, statistically, it's probably just going to be kind of a masculine-looking cis woman, or kind of a masculine-looking, or feminine-looking cis guy. Not a trans person anyway, but even if it was, not a threat in the first place. But it shows you, even if trans people, even if, let's say, 50% of trans people, it's not even close to that, like, not even close, let me emphasize. But let's say 50% of trans people were at risk of committing some kind of, crime or doing some kind of atrocity. Would it be good to follow through and continue behaving this way, even in that scenario, if it meant that statistically it's going to be cis people that end up getting 90% of the blowback of this type of behavior? Because trans people just aren't that common. And unfortunately, everyone is being programmed into thinking they're a hammer. And now they think everything's a nail. And there just aren't that many nails. If your whole thing is being a trans person hammer, then I'm afraid there aren't many nails out there for you to hammer. So you're just going to be mistaking a lot of cis people and having a lot of embarrassing kind of shitty moments like this happen. So, let's continue. Garika Mudra. Wait, did I read this bit? Oh yeah, I did. Mudra said she felt she had to prove to the server that she is a woman, so she unzipped her hoodie to show that she had breasts. The server didn't say anything in response, but left the restroom, Mudra said. That is so fucking shitty. Not even an apology. Not even like oh fuck, I feel so bad, I'm so sorry. Honestly, I don't know what? Just walking away. That is some, like, just creepo, like, narcissist behavior. Like, I feel like this person might have just wanted to, like, ruin someone's day and use this as an excuse. It almost feels that way. She made me feel very uncomfortable, Mudra said. After that, I just don't like going in public bathrooms. I just hold it in. I want to be able to use the bathroom in peace. Inspire Brands, which represents Buffalo Wild Wings, didn't immediately respond to a request for comment. Woke is dead now, so of course they hardly give a fuck these days. Big companies when it comes to scandals like this. Gender Justice filed the charge of discrimination with the Minnesota Department of Human Rights, arguing that what happened to Mudra violates the state's Human Rights Act, which protects people from discrimination based on gender identity and sexual orientation, among other protected statuses. Sarah Jane Baldwin, senior staff attorney at Gender Justice, said at a news conference Tuesday that even though Mudra isn't trans, the server's actions were based on assumptions that she made about Mudra, and that Minnesota's law protects against discrimination based on stereotypes or assumptions about protected characteristics like gender identity. Quote, businesses have a legal obligation not to just have anti-discrimination policies on paper, but to train staff and ensure that those policies are followed in real time, Baldwin said. When that doesn't happen, the business is liable for the harm caused. Unfortunately, all these businesses got rid of their diversity training, or what was it, DEI training? Got rid of all their DEI training, or whatever it was called. And now, this kind of stuff is just going to happen, and they're going to get away with it. There's really no consequences anymore, because the companies that are at the top of the totem pole right now think that Trump being in office basically means that America has abandoned progressive values, and they're acting like it. It's really bizarre. It feels like they're trying to make it happen, because it means that they'll have less, I guess, public pressure in the future for anything they do down the road. A less progressive society is better for, you know, soulless corporations. Makes sense to me, I guess. All right. Gender Justice said Mudra's experience, quote, reflects a broader climate of fear and suspicion aimed at anyone who doesn't conform to narrow expectations of what girls and women, quote unquote, should look like. What suspicion has been driven largely by the wave, or that suspicion has been driven largely by the wave of state legislation targeting trans people, particularly their access to school sports and bathrooms that align with their gender identities, though Minnesota hasn't enacted any such legislation yet. 19 states have put laws that prohibit trans people from using bathrooms that align with their gender identities in K-12 schools, and in many of those states, the restrictions apply to other government-owned buildings as well. According to the Movement Advancement Project, an LGBTQ think tank, 27 states prohibit trans people from playing on school sports teams that align with their gender identities. That's more than half of America's states, and I'm pretty sure it's going to grow to at least somewhere in the 30s, if not the 40s. Even before such laws, trans people had long reported facing harassment in public restrooms and avoided using them as a result. There have been several reports this year of women who aren't transgender alleging harassment in public bathrooms because they were suspected of being trans, including at the U.S. Capitol in January. Really? That's crazy. Phoenix in February, Florida in March. Was this the Marcy situation, or did another person? This isn't the Marcy situation. This is just another separate scenario. God damn it. Really? Well, the article is about a Walmart, some trans person at a Walmart getting yelled at, or a cis person at a Walmart getting yelled at because the person yelling thought they were trans and they were using the bathroom. This kind of gender policing is unfortunately nothing new, Megan Peterson, executive director at Gender Justice, said in a statement. And yet, in our current climate, we have to ask, what if Garrica had been a trans person? Would this story have ended differently? That's the terrifying reality too many trans people live with every day. Even if Mudra had been trans, she would be able to file a discrimination complaint under state law in Minnesota, which is one of 21 states and Washington, D.C. for now, that explicitly prohibit discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity in public accommodations. According to the Movement Advancement Project, 2 states explicitly prohibit discrimination based on sexual orientation only, and 6 additional states interpret existing measures against discrimination based on sex to also include discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity. 21 states don't have explicit protections from discrimination based on gender identity in public accommodations at all. Damn. So, the unfortunate like reality here is just that the worst of the worst among transphobes are feeling empowered now. And they're having these unbelievable, embarrassing, disgusting moments where their empowered psychopathy is leading to them calling out cis people. People who aren't even trans. And this is going to keep happening. Like, to the point where, God, I only hope that the average trans spotter, or whatever you want to call these people, ends up becoming a meme, because so many people get tired of getting assailed on the street because some crazy thought they didn't look masculine or didn't look feminine enough. Cis woman confronted by police officers in Arizona Walmart restroom for looking too masculine. What? What the fuck? No, this is crazy. Hold on, can I find a link to this full video? It's on TikTok. Oh, geez. Not TikTok. Not TikTok. Oh, geez. So this is the footage that she was able to post of the cops. Oh, yeah, I forgot. TikTok's the worst. No more full screen button on TikTok, I guess? They just... Oh, wait, here it is. God, this is such an awful, awful app. Okay.
They came in here.
So these cops are apparently harassing this girl because they're convinced she's trans. This is in Tucson.
In the girls' restroom because I'm a girl and they didn't think I was a girl. So they try to come take me away because I'm a girl.
The insane irony of this is that if it weren't for transphobia, there would have only been girls in that bathroom, in that women's bathroom that day. The only reason why there are two big armed dudes in there with those women is because of transphobia. Because transphobes lost their shit and decided, despite being male, mind you, to intrude on a women's space in order to enforce their transphobic views. Because remember, hating trans people always comes first. They don't actually believe in any of that bullshit about protecting women or protecting women's spaces or any of that. They don't believe in any of it. It's all just talk. They'll never walk that walk. Never. Not when it counts. Anyway, folks, if y'all enjoyed this segment, if you found what I had to say on this issue entertaining, educational, or enjoyable in any way whatsoever, then please consider supporting the channel and my content for future growth and prosperity, even, by dropping a like and a comment. If you're watching live or after the fact, it really does help a lot regardless. It's totally free and only takes a second to drop a thumbs up or a comment. In fact, only about 12% of my viewers currently like my videos and streams, which is unfortunately somewhat low percentage-wise. I would like it to be closer to 20+% would be pretty healthy. Like a quarter, 25% would be really healthy. And way fewer even comment on the new videos. But those two metrics are what determine a video's success the most. Like, the views come naturally, but if the people that actually click and watch the videos like and comment, YouTube sees it as a massive success. So consider liking and commenting down below. Subscribe and ring the bell icon to turn on all notifications if you want to see more from me in the future. And get notified when I upload stuff as well. And of course, follow my social medias, linked down below in the description, if you want to see more from me on other platforms too, particularly my fan Discord, which is the main hub of my fan base and my community. I host gaming events, call-in streams, watch parties, movie nights, etc. there every week, including tonight, mind you, after streams. So I hope to see you guys in the Discord tonight. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be a blast. And then, of course, if you want to support me directly, financially, help me keep the lights on and a roof above my head here at the Xander Hall studio, then please consider donating. subscribing, or gifting a sub to somebody else on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or support me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon, or buy some custom Xander Hall merch through the Streamlabs link down below. Regardless of how you support me, though, thank you all so much for watching, and as always, have a good one.